Hey y'all, Sugar Miss B. I'm back for the last time today, and I'm back for the last time to talk about this whole situation. So as y'all can see, Diddy's bail was just denied. They're not letting him come home. So while everybody was in an uproar this morning, going through emotions, I seen content creators looking like they had tears in their eyes because they thought that this man was going to be free. The judge said no. So it is what it is at this point. It's nothing to cry about. Um, like I said, I still feel how I feel. I wish he could, be there for his children because that's the most important thing to me. But hey, it is what it is. They're not letting him out. And that's funny. I just got a text message. It is what it is. They're not letting him out. And he's going to have to go through the motions of when he gets sentenced. So I'm going to try to see if we can listen to some Diddy. Yeah, I don't see anything. That's from 7 months ago. That's from, yeah, basically the bail was denied. That's the end of that. It was denied. He's going to have to sit in jail until he gets sentenced. I don't know exactly when that will be. Let's see.
And the judge noted, we're told right now by Sharon Crowley, that one of the incidents of violence against a former girlfriend was in June of 2024 after Sean Combs knew that he perhaps was illegal. Right. So there are things.
So there's reasons why he's not getting the.
Maybe we were slower to get to, but the judge has made his decision. Sean Combs will not be seen on bail. That's the latest from here at the federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan. We go back to you guys.
Arthur, before you go, maybe one more last question.
Scene that is probably played around the world, but that's the latest out here, that the jury has returned their verdict. They found him not guilty on the three most serious counts, but guilty on the two least serious counts. And right now, the decision is whether or not he should remain in federal.
All right, let me go right to where it came.
So let's get right over to Lisa Evers, who's been outside the courthouse all morning long into this evening. Lisa, what are you hearing?
Well, Bianca, Natasha, just think about this. That verdict came out early this morning, and Sean Diddy Combs has been in a holding pen the entire day waiting for this whole issue to be resolved. Instead of resolving that bail question right after the verdict was read, the prosecutors asked for several more hours in order to try and put their position together, which their position being they want to keep Sean Diddy Combs behind bars, even though he was cleared of the two most serious charges in this case. But let's bring in right now criminal defense attorney and former Manhattan prosecutor Jeremy Sallin to get some understanding about this whole bail process that's going on right now. Jeremy, thank you so much for being with us. A little unusual for them to delay the bail hearing like this so many hours after the verdict?
There's nothing usual about this case. Everything about it's unusual, especially when you think about the magnitude. It's a very fair question to ask. Bail community at large, the danger to any particular people that he's not going to return to court. That's a hard stretch considering the man came down prior to being in charge. The man surrendered his passport. There's been no allegations since the accusation began that he's made any threats. And the bottom line is all of those things he's accused him of in terms of violence, guess what? He was acquitted, not a conviction.
Right, and I think that's the thing that's so hard for us to understand. So one of the bail denials, there were several attempts to get him bail all the way through this process. The prosecutor...
Absolutely not. The evidence doesn't bear it out in terms of what he's been convicted of, and nor does the history of in terms of his compliance with returning to court and behaving and following the judge's instructions. I think they come up empty-handed, but again, there's something called the Bail Reform Act, which says, in substance, barring exception, he should be held in.
And then in terms of the final decision, that should be the judge, right? That will make that decision based upon these letters that he's gotten, that Natasha and Bianca were talking about from the prosecution and the defense.
In prison, theoretically consecutive, that's never going to happen to 20 years. We're talking potentially months and nominal years if he's ultimately sentenced to that.
For that, on the transportation for prostitution for charges. But then in terms of the conditions and that they would have to satisfy, there were other things that he had offered in the past that were turned down by the government. An ankle...
They basically denied.
An ankle bracelet and 24/7 monitoring by security. Handing your passport. The defense counsel already has that. Stay in certain venues, drug tests. Don't leave New York or Florida where you reside. Post bond if you need to, in terms of the $1 million, if that's what's being asked by the defense. Those are reasonable things to ask. Is he going to return to court? yes. If you have evidence that he makes a threat, you put him back in.
And then you've tried many big cases. What role does his family presence have? It's been very strong, very consistent, especially this last final week. His mother's been there every single day. He said his 85-year-old mother is one of the defense applications.
85.
He needs to be the main caretaker for his 85-year-old mother, Mrs. Janice Combs, who's been here every single day, and also be a father to his 3-year-old baby daughter. And then we've seen the other kids, the grown kids in there, and other extended family members. What effect does that have on a judge in this kind of decision?
So family ties are critical to show community ties. Family ties are critical to show you're not going to flee and you're going to return to court.
With us. And again, if you're just joining us right now, the bail hearing for Sean Diddy Combs happening inside this courthouse.
Because I don't got time for all this. I just want to get to the point.
On record for the year so far, let's have a listen in on what it sounded like outside the courthouse when Sean Diddy Combs' mother emerged after the verdict was rendered. A short time separate from that, we saw out of the back entrance. We're learning right now, Lisa, that apparently bond has been denied.
Okay, that's
Well, I don't know if that's getting it. Let's use this one.
Let's get Jeremy here.
Yeah, Jeremy, can you come back in here when you get a moment? So what we had been positioned for was an argument that because the jury found Sean Diddy Combs guilty only on the lesser of the charges, that there was a presumption that he might be able to go home. The judge even asked him at one point, I imagine you don't want to go back to NDC. He nodded vigorously. Right? Let's use this microphone. I'm not sure if that one works. And Jeremy, if you'll come in here
Jeremy.
should we start with Jeremy's reaction?
Now, why
Jeremy
the judge
Jones
do
is with
that?
us. They've been the defense attorney and former Manhattan prosecutor. And the bail, the news is that bail has been denied.
Yeah, that the judge.
So there is the law, the statute says in substance that bail would be denied, meaning that he goes in and stays in. There's not an exception. For example, there could be an exception where the prosecution says we consent, and there's other pieces to it as well. There could be a danger to somebody or not, but the bail being kept as it is not necessarily atypical because of the law, though one would believe the fact that he was not convicted of the top charge, and it's been a reduction, and people do walk free and come back and are wired.
Well, keeping the bail as it is means there's no bail.
Right. So he's remanded, he's held without bail. So this doesn't change the potential sentence, obviously, because it's still up to 10 years, but for the immediate gratification purposes of getting out, doing what he needs to do and fighting this from the outside in terms of preparing for that sentencing, now it's been stripped.
And let me just add, this morning, the prosecution was very adamant about wanting to have this extra time to present their argument to the judge, and seemed, obviously they were disappointed with the verdict. It was very visible and very obvious, but they wanted to keep him behind bars. And they said, Your Honor, we need several hours to really get this whole argument together.
See, things might have been a little better for you, Diddy, if you was not sitting here playing yourself. When you got caught in New York, the fact that they found baby oil, drugs, sex toys, and stuff like that in that hotel room, when you knew you was coming to New York to turn yourself in, that's where you fucked yourself. That is where you fucked yourself, bro. So it is what it is. You got to stay in there. You're going to be hot as fuck in the sun for the whole summer. I don't know when you're going to get sentenced. But like I said, I have no feelings in this. Unlike a lot of people, y'all have feelings on this. But what you need to do is exactly what I said earlier. You need to get down on your knees and you need to pray a little harder. You need to pray a little harder because you need that sentence to be as low as possible so you could get home to your children. Because at the end of the day, for me, you are a creepy motherfucker. But you are a father to somebody. And because I know what it's like to not have a parent, I ain't never going to want to see somebody without their parents. So that's all I have to say when it comes to this. I'm off this. Big O, I'm going to beat your ass. I'm going to beat your ass. Let me get off of here. I'll holler at y'all later. I got my cowboy show to watch. If y'all are interested, I have been watching the McBees. You go and find it on Bravo. I don't know the full name of the show. It is what it is. Y'all got to go find it for yourselves. I can't do all the work for y'all now. I can only give y'all a few words of the show. And y'all got to go find it on your own. But I'm going to go and enjoy it. Yeah, you better get on your knees and keep praying too, baby. You better get on your knees and keep praying too because you acting up. And I be watching you on those chats acting up too. You something else. You real smooth, real player. I like that about you, Big O. I love that about you. I will holler at you guys later, but you gotta chill out, yo. Cause you know how these people are on YouTube. They gonna start making up their narratives and all that shit. And guess what? I don't have no feelings towards it. So they're gonna be wasting their time on a bunch of bullshit. Cause we ain't never gonna give them a show. Goodbye. Holla at you later.